Why generic metalcore bands are essential to the scene. In this essay, I will.
Hey,
What?
ting.
Stop. What's up, guys? Old Ed Mike here. Coming to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a while. Wanted to make a post on Facebook, but just never got around to it. And it's about generic metalcore bands. The names that I most associate that with, stuff like Fit for a King, especially, and Wage War, Polaris, Ice Nine Kills, things like that. Bands that do some good stuff, but don't do a lot of things great. They're just average. You can sit there and listen to them, and you're not going to have a bad time, but it's not going to be fucking amazing either. At first, I want to preface that a lot of these bands that I bring up about being generic, now I don't go out of my way to listen to them, except for like Wage War's first album. Fit for a King randomly plays for on my Pandora and Spotify here and there. I don't care for Ice Nine Kills, other than maybe a couple songs, and mostly just the horror theme is pretty cool. Polaris actually has put out a pretty decent album this year. Wasn't a super fan of their other stuff. I did write out a review for it on paper before I started doing YouTube. So if you want me to make a video on it, let me know. It's been a few months, so I figured no one would care if I put out a review for that album. But anyways, like I said, I don't go out of my way to listen to these dudes, so I'm not saying that we should all go listen to them, because they are kind of generic. I prefer my stuff a little more groovy, things like that. I just think that they deserve a little more credit, when their name's brought up. I Prevail, too, is another one. And I Prevail, honestly, I would much rather listen to I Prevail's new stuff than A Day to Remember's new stuff. And I was a huge fan of A Day to Remember back in the day. They had some of the most violent crowd-killing shows back in like 2007, 2008. And now they're just kind of... But anyways, I've just got like 3 quick points I want to make about this. Because every time I ever post about Wage War, they have their first album, fucking great, just really hard hitting melodic stuff. Kind of felt like it was going to be like a new wave of melodic hardcore, melodic metalcore, and then they kind of went soft after that. But that's not really my point. Anytime I ever post about them, or a Fit for a King song plays on my Pandora and I go post about it, I get a lot of shit for it. I hear a lot of things about them being generic metalcore, stadium core, or as my friend Devin likes to call them, muddy core. It's always just bothered me because... especially the Fit for a King part, for my first point, is that these guys were they were local bands, I'm from Dallas, Fit for a King's from Dallas, and anytime I hear people talking about best local bands that have came out of Dallas and stuff, no one ever mentions Fit for a King, and it's weird because, they're so big, like, I guess that's why you don't like them, I don't know. They've got some solid music. They've got some really heavy stuff that's really cool. I got to see them when the For Today final show was in Dallas. Actually, they had 2 of them in Dallas, which was weird. And Fit for King played with them both nights. and that was probably one of the most rowdiest shows I've ever been to. I've never seen a sold out show that had so much crowd killing and hardcore dancing. You would think it would be straight push pit or something with that many tickets sold, but it was like an entire room of people just punching the shit out of each other. Also, Ryan Kirby's just a fucking ridiculous vocalist, as shown here. Bruh. But anyways, back to my point. Like these dudes were just, all of these dudes are just musicians. You know, we were all just musicians, just wanting to do music, and these guys made it big. Like, good for them. You know, like we should all be proud of them, and and it should serve as an inspiration to other people. To other people who wanted to put out music like this, wanted to put out heavy music, and were like, you know, what's the point? No one's gonna give it a listen, you know. But these dudes made it big. Like, they're probably fucking rich. I guess, I don't know. But I don't know. I just think I'm proud of them. My second point is that they carry on the sound of early second wave metalcore bands. Now, I'm not saying that Killswitch Engage is generic. They are the very first metalcore band I ever listened to. And also Parkway Drive, super iconic for the scene, or just the genre in general. But both of these bands kind of set up the formula that a lot of these generic bands use. Say, for example, Killswitch Engage, stuff like Wage War, you know, it's like heavy verse, singing chorus, heavy verse, singing chorus, bridge, maybe a breakdown, maybe not a breakdown. Killswitch was actually kind of light on their breakdowns, but when they had them, boy. So anyways, they kind of set up this template for that a lot of bands use these days, and the whole thing, the whole point I'm trying to make is that a lot of bands, or majority of bands nowadays, are now 90s metalcore, first wave metalcore revival bands, you know, which is good stuff, you know. Knock Loose, Varials, Loathe, although Loathe is kind of doing their own thing, which is really cool. Check them out if you haven't heard of them. It's kind of like if Deftones was a alternate universe metalcore band. Pretty cool stuff. Anyways, so when all these bands are trying to sound like early metalcore sounds, these bands give you that bass line. They give you that bass line that says that they are the generic ones, and you are the ones trying to do this cool revival shit. Now, if these bands didn't exist, if they stopped doing that, if they started doing 90s stuff, everyone would sound like 90s revival. You would become the generic. You would be generic. The scene needs diversity. Say everybody sounds like 90s revival now. Now, when one person does come along and starts using this old template of singy-songy type stuff, then everyone's gonna be like, oh wow, that's refreshing, and then they're gonna want to listen to that. I don't know. Kind of just, this whole kind of video is just word vomit, really. When everything's diverse, when everyone has their own different sound, even if it's a copy of someone else before, which revival is just a copy of someone else before, everyone has a chance to succeed. And I think that giving them shit for using that template, when it's been successful, you know, it's just let people play their music, you know? And so on to my third and main point. these bands serve to bridge the gap between normies and the hardcore metalcore scene. Not really including hardcore into this. Their own type of thing. But so like I said before in my previous statement, Killswitch. I'm not saying Killswitch is generic, but where would I be if I had not heard Killswitch? I can vividly remember in detail the first time I heard Killswitch. You know, I went from in high school, and when I graduated in 2004, I was listening to fucking Static X and Stained and Tool and all that kind of stuff, more grungy. And then in I think it was 2005 or so, I can't remember when that movie came out. Resident Evil, the second one, the Nemesis version. I had not had a chance to see it in theaters. I stayed the night at my friend's house. We rented it on Blockbuster. He had this huge surround sound. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning when we finally got to watching it. I fell asleep near the end. And I woke up to this fucking beautiful sound over the fucking just this wave just like went over me through the speakers that were filled the entire room, and I like was, what is this sound? What is this? And I stayed there and I like watched the credits, and it was fucking Killswitch Engage, The End of Heartache. That song changed my life. Had I not heard The End of Heartache, you know, I don't know where I would be. I could probably be listening to like Five Finger Death Punch or something. Ugh. Killswitch led to Misery Signals, led to Catherine, led to It Dies Today, led to just on and on and on and on. So, I'm rambling now, I know. But these bands bridge that gap. These bands are bigger name, they're out there more, they're more accessible, their sound is more accessible. It's easier for these people who aren't really into heavy music. They might hear a song that's, you know, more singy type stuff and be in, and it starts getting that ball rolling, you know? Like when I first bought that Killswitch album, The End of Heartache, like I didn't like all of it at first. The End of Heartache was all mostly singing, you know? So when I went into the heavier tracks, it was all screaming, you know? I wasn't really used to that, you know? I had heard, like, grunge, industrial type stuff. There wasn't really that type of screaming. So it was kind of... I didn't know what I was fucking hearing, you know? It took me a minute. And then once I finally, like, kept listening to that kind of stuff, it clicked. And now that's all I listen to. Well, not all I listen to. I listen to a lot of synthwave and a lot of weird shit like that. But, so my point is just that this opens up people's minds to our type of music. They're a gateway drug to harder metalcore. If everyone just sounded like Knock Loose, you know, if everyone just heard ding 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 ding, the shit like Knock Loose, you know, just heavy ass beat music, you know, and not everyone's gonna just be like, well, this is like too much for me, you know. If you give them an entry point, it can help bring people into this. And if you don't want more people listening to your music or your type of music, then, you know, I don't know why you're here. Like, we shouldn't be gatekeeping metalcore. Now, if it's hardcore, you know, you have your own little brotherhood scene. That's different. But it's metalcore, bro. Like, let people fucking listen to it. Like, metalcore can change people's life. You know, it's not all about death. It's not satanic music. It's metalcore is usually real emotional. It's angry. It's passionate. It has love. You know, I don't know how many I could list bands and sounds and songs that I've listened to that have made me cry. Fucking watch my Ghost Inside video, like just tears. Like, this music is so emotional. And a lot of people don't really get that. And when you gatekeep and try to keep people out of that loop, I'm tearing up right now. I don't even know why. You know, this music can mean so much more to people, and just because they have a generic sound doesn't mean there's not passion behind those lyrics, doesn't mean there's not passion behind those riffs. You know, we're all one big fucking metalcore fucking heavy family, you know. Let's just get out there and have a good fucking time. Anyways, so I don't know, I just wanted to make this video while I had some extra time. Thanks for watching. Sorry I rambled so much and probably made no sense at all. Stay tuned. I'm going to have another horror video this week, tomorrow. And then might do an album review this weekend. I've got a few extra days off. The wife is out of town. Just me and the baby. So I'm going to probably do some extra videos. But stick around. Give me a like and subscribe, please. Helps me out a whole ton, so I can keep doing this, and maybe one day I'll be able to do this full time for you guys. So, Old Head Mike signing off, reminding you, you're never too old for this.